today, guys, this is the second part, and we're going to talk about biosolids. So I'm here with my guest, Sonia Allman, who works at Metro Waters, and here to kind of walk us through the process of answering, is Nashville water clean? By the end of this, no one else should wonder that. If they've ever had doubt, they should, have their answer and be secure in their decision of drinking out of their household. A lot of people don't know that you can tour the Metro Waters plants, and I've been fortunate enough to tour many of them. I still had about one or two others to tour before we entered the quarantine and had the tornado activity and all of that. So I still have to visit some, but I was fortunate enough to do the biosolids and to see what all goes into it, and to see how, basically reclaiming water is the main thing at that plant is mind-blowing. And I'd highly encourage you guys, whenever we're out of this COVID-19 situation, to definitely visit the biosolids lab. So today I want Miss Sonia to kind of walk us through what the process of reclaiming water looks like there.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, we're not able to give tours now, but we do have some virtual tours on our website. So any of you that are interested, we do have some great virtual tours that Julie Burbilia, our educational specialist, has recorded, and they are available to you 24/7. So I encourage you, until we're able to invite you back to our facilities, to definitely check on those.
Yeah.
Reclaiming water, and many people have called it a wastewater treatment plant for many years. We are trying to change people's thinking and rename our facilities to water reclamation facilities, because that is truly what we're doing. Metro Water Services, in addition to providing clean drinking water from our 2 drinking water plants, we have 3 water reclamation facilities, previously known as wastewater treatment plants. And at those facilities, we take the wasted water, essentially sewage, and we clean it. That cleaning process goes through multiple steps. The clean water is returned to the Cumberland River, and the reclaimed solids are taken to the biosolids facility that you mentioned and that you were actually able to tour. So Metro Water Services has 3 water reclamation facilities. Our largest, the Central, is downtown at 2nd Avenue, very near Metro Center. That is our largest facility. It was also the first facility built. Prior to it being built, which was in 1958, all sewage or wastewater went directly to the Cumberland River untreated. So we had no treatment in Nashville until 1958, when all of that sewage began going to the Central Water Reclamation Facility. That facility is currently undergoing some expansion and upgrades. It's going to be a 3-year project, but if you come down here now, you're going to see a lot of construction, building demolition. So we're very excited about that. That facility can treat up to 330 million gallons a day. The average is 125, but during wet weather, when we get a lot of rainfall, it can treat up to 330. We also have our Dry Creek treatment plant, which is in the Myatt Drive area in Rivergate. That is actually our smallest. It can treat on average 25, but can go up to 63 million gallons a day. And then the one that we give tours of is Whites Creek on County Hospital Road in the Bordeaux area. It was built in 1975, and it can treat 37.5 on average, but can go up to 120 million gallons a day if necessary. So a lot of sewage comes to Nashville, to our facilities, from various things, not only households, from toilets and washing machines and dishwashers, but also from industry, from hospitals, all types of waste come into us. So it is something that's very important that we clean it and we make sure that it is safe before it returns to the river. So that process is a multi-step process, just like drinking water process. And the first thing that we do when it comes into the facility is we let the grit fall out. It goes through a grit chamber. Anything like sand, eggshells, larger gritty material is going to sink to the bottom. At these facilities, they are operated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And not only do we have certified operators working at them, we have engineers and mechanics and administrative staff. So it's quite time and energy being expended on this. So when the sewage comes in, it goes first through a grit tank. When it comes in, it is actually 99% water and only 1% of it is solids. So any of those, the grit, the gravel, the eggshells, we're going to let those drop out. And that happens in our grit tanks. Grit tanks are about 14 feet deep. They have, chains that move. So one of the things that we don't want in our sewer system are wipes or feminine products or Q-tips or currently any type of PPE, rubber gloves or paper masks you may be wearing. Because in the process, we are wanting to take nutrients and organic material and water and separate it. So anything else that is not something that you've eaten that's gone through you or toilet paper, we don't want it in the system. Paper towels even can cause a problem because they're made out of stronger material and they don't break up as easily. So through this process, we have a lot of chains and moving parts. And when we get wipes or paper towels or feminine products, they hang up in those chains and can actually shut down the entire process.
Not to cut you off, but to address that wipe issue, that includes the flushable wipes, even though they're saying that.
Absolutely. And now actually I'm going to.
Yeah, because I know that it's marketed that it's very flushable, but a lot of people don't know that it's not. Julie Verbili actually showed me that as well when I took the tour at White County.
Absolutely. So even a lot of wipes are marketed as flushable. It says it clearly on the package, flushable wipes. And we now have wipes for everything. You can clean your bathroom counters with wipes. You can wipe your hands clearly with our Lysol wipes that we're using a lot of the sanitizing wipes now. Mm-hmm. There's wipes for everything. And even though they say flushable, they do not break down. So when you put toilet paper into the toilet and it comes in contact with water, and I hope you can see this on the video, it actually breaks up. So you can see in this bottle, this is actually just toilet paper in a bottle. You really can't see the paper. It, just becomes very mushy and breaks up in that water. Now, a paper towel, and I've had these bottles for probably 6 to 8 months. You can still see the chunks of paper towel. It does break down over time. Again, this has been 6 to 8 months, but not completely. Now, a wipe, and this wipe again has been in here 6 to 8 months, and you can see it doesn't matter how much I shake it, you still see that wipe in there.
Yeah.
So we call that the shake test, and we tell people you can put something in a bottle and shake it up. If it doesn't break down, which clearly dental floss, hair out of your brush, a Q-tip, none of that is going to break down. Do not put it in your toilet. Because even if it makes it through your pipes, which sometimes it doesn't, and it's going to cause a sewer overflow at your house, it can go further down. And if you think about you flushing something, your neighbor's flushing something, it can cause sewer overflows into the environment, which of course is an environmental health concern. But furthermore, if it makes it to our treatment plants, it becomes entangled in our moving parts. And even though it's not a sexy job, it's a very necessary job. We actually have to drain these basins, shut the treatment system down, and go in and manually cut these rags and wipes and products from these moving parts to remove them. So again, do that shake test. If it doesn't break down like toilet paper, we don't want it in the toilet.
Good too. Thank you for providing us with that disclaimer, because it's definitely marketed in a certain way,
And it has become a very expensive issue, not only for Metro Water Services, but for many other utilities across the country, because it is so highly marketed as flushable. Once everything leaves the grit tank, including those, quote, flushable products, it goes into a primary tank. And in the primary tank, we want to get rid of more solids. So they're like huge Olympic-sized swimming pools. It goes through there, and everything is going to slow down. In the primary tank, we've got more moving parts. We have a scoop going across the top, a scoop going across the bottom, and the solids will settle to the bottom. A lot of the scum, oils, and grease, which are also very bad for sewer systems, will rise to the top. That scum and grease and the solids are sent on to solids handling and eventually to the biosolids facility. The remaining water is taken to what I consider the most exciting process, and that is the aeration tank. In the aeration tank, we put this water source that still has a lot of organic nutrient material in it, and we're putting it into a big tank that has air flowing into it, and it has microorganisms. I like to call them bugs. And these bugs like to eat that organic material. So we're providing a big party for these bugs. We're giving them a great food source. We're giving them lots of oxygen, and they're eating and happy and doing their thing. And you see a lot of activity going on in this thing. If you look under a microscope, this is where all of the biological process is. In the water reclamation facility, we do not use any chemicals. It is all a biological process. So these bugs are doing their work. They're actually our free employees, the only employees we don't pay. But it is very expensive because that air that we're putting in there requires huge blowers. So at just the Whites Creek treatment plant alone, the monthly utility bill is about $97,000. So moving the wastewater through the plant, adding all of this air and getting everything moving is expensive, but it's also very necessary. So we're not using chemicals, but we're using lots of air and these microorganisms, and these microorganisms eat this organic material. And then when it goes into the clarifiers, they're going to do what we do after eating a lot and being active. They're kind of going to take naps. So they calm down, they settle down, they sink to the bottom. At this point, we have much cleaner water at the top. Those organisms are scooped up. Some of them are sent back to work in the aeration basin, and some of them are what we call wasted. And those also go to the biosolids facility. That clean water goes through the final step, which is ultraviolet disinfection. Many years ago, we used chlorine as a disinfectant. We've moved away from that for safety purposes, in addition to newer technologies being available to us. So we now actually, after the final clarification where the water has settled out, we use ultraviolet light. We actually have 1,064 ultraviolet bulbs. The water has to be extremely clear, but it goes under these bulbs, and as the light shines through it, it essentially neutralizes the microorganisms in the water. So it essentially sterilizes them, not in a perfectly clean, but meaning that they can no longer reproduce. So they can't reproduce, they die off, and we have a much cleaner water going out to the river. Ironically enough, the water we pull out of the river prior to being treated for drinking water is not as clean as the water we are returning to the river after the water reclamation process. So we are reclaiming that water, we are cleaning it, and we are returning it to the river. So we're helping the environment, and we're returning back to the environment the water that we pulled from it. So, that is all a win-win. It's a bonus. We're not having to deal with our own waste. We're not causing any kind of environmental harm, and we're returning to the environment what we took from the environment for drinking water. Now, what's remaining are those solids. And as I said, what comes in is 99% water, about 1% solid. So all of those solids are collected, and the solids from both the Whites Creek wastewater treatment plant and our largest facility, the Central wastewater treatment plant, are sent to the biosolids facility. Our biosolids facility was built in 2009. Prior to that, we did lots of different things with our solids. We incinerated it for a really long time, which caused air quality concerns. We tried composting it, which caused environmental concerns. We then hauled it for many years to landfills. And hauling it to landfills caused odor concerns. It was not very environmentally friendly because we were filling up precious landfill space, which we all know we don't have enough of, and we're filling it up way too quickly with all of our disposable items that we use now. And it was costly. We were having to pay for trucks to haul it, often, long distances, because we don't have any of those facilities here in Davidson County that would accept the waste. We were at the mercy of the truck haulers. If the truck haulers decided they could not haul, our waste does not stop coming in. We're getting material 24/7. That is something that we don't control. So we were at the mercy of the truck haulers. And as our equipment reached the end of its useful life, we decided we needed to look at other options. And one of those technologies was biosolids. Biosolids has been a true, blessing to the community, to Metro Water Services, to Nashville, and to our gardening and farming community, because it is taking something, it is taking something that used to be just landfilled and was very costly, and we're turning it into a reusable, necessary product. It's essentially becoming a fertilizer. The fertilizer is called Music City Gold. It is in pellet form. It is a slow release fertilizer. It's not going to, burn plants. We have a lot of farmers that use it. We have gardeners that use it. So it, is actually has been a true blessing.
If you all follow me on Instagram at urbanthread615, I actually use the Music City Gold in my raised beds and in all of my garden beds, and it has performed wonders. And you can track how I've used other products in the past versus the Music City Gold and see how it's really flourishing and the difference it made in just growing things. I have beautiful leaf foliage for starters. My squash still looks amazing right now. I'm starting to get a little bit of squash bugs, but that was expected, but everything else is just thriving, producing fruit way more. And I'm using it as a side dress. And I also used it as the organic matter in my starter mix. So it just worked out well, and I'm pretty satisfied by
Well,
it.
that is great to hear. And, we have had great reviews. Again, like you said, it is organic. It's not a chemical product. It's something that, we have taken, and it's reusable. It's an amazing soil amendment. It does wonders for the soil. So it is a lot less environmentally friendly because it's not as water soluble. So even if you use it and then it rains, it's not going to dissolve and run off into our creeks and streams and waterways. So I encourage everybody to look into Music City Gold and use it. As I said, it is a process of the biosolids treatment. And, we are taking that 1% of the organic solids and we're turning it into this reusable product. I started doing it in 2009. After the 2010 flood, our facility was flooded. We had a little bit of a halt, but we are back up and running. And once that product comes through, first step it makes is the DAFT. And the DAFT is actually a dissolved air flotation thickener. And we take that product, which still has quite a bit of water in it, even though we've separated as much of the water out as we can. And we want to reclaim any additional water that we can. So it goes into this DAFT. We put air in there. It bubbles. Again, stuff will rise to the top and sink to the bottom. So the organic material floats to the top. We're able to take that off. The heavier water that comes to the bottom after that, the bubbles have pushed everything up. We take a polymer to help it stick together, and we move it on to the next process, which is the digesters. In the digesters, again, we are using a biological process. They're very much like huge stomachs. And again, we use bugs, but in this case, it's anaerobic digestion. So we're not putting all of the air in there with them, but the bugs are eating the material very much like our stomachs work and processing that. The digesters stay at about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And this digestion process takes 15 days. So it stays in there for 15 days at really high heat so the organic process is consumed. The bugs also release a methane gas. And one of the really cool things about biosolids is we capture that methane gas and use it later in the process to fuel later steps. So again, we're being very environmentally friendly, we're looking at sustainability, and we're capturing that methane gas that is produced, and we're using it in our boilers and in our heat dryers. So it is stored in membranes. When you come to our facility, you see these huge digesters. They have membranes over the top. I think they look a lot like Jiffy Pop, if anybody knows what that is. And we store the methane gas in that for use later. So the methane gas goes to heat boilers, the boilers, instead of using natural gas. And that is then pumped into heat exchangers. So we use all of that digester gas to fuel these. The microorganisms, when it comes out of the digester, it goes into a centrifuge. The centrifuge is just a huge spinning contraption, and it spins any additional water out, which again leaves even more of those solids. At this point is more of a Play-Doh consistency. Again, that water is sent through the process and cleaned and returned to the river, and we take what comes from the centrifuge and put it through the final step, which is the heat dryer. Our heat dryers are like huge drums. The dryer flame is at 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's extremely hot. And one thing it is doing, it is essentially pasteurizing this product. So you have this product, all of this organic product, it's going through 1400 degrees, and it kills any pathogen and removes any remaining odors. So the key point there is the pathogens are killed. The final product that comes out of this heat dryer is a pellet. And the way we get that pellet is we put it in there with what we call seed pellets. We have smaller beginning particles, and as it's rolling around in this dryer and it's making several passes, it's breaking down and it's wrapping and coating these smaller pellets. We want the pellets to be a specific size, so they go through shakers. Any of the pellets that are too small are returned as seed pellets. Any pellets that are too big are then crushed up and turned into seed pellets. That perfect size is sent on as Music City Gold. So the Music City Gold pellet itself,
it's very lightweight, by the way, guys. Very lightweight. It's not as
is
dense.
actually,
Yeah, not as dense as some other fertilizers that I've used, which is
it is
refreshing
not.
too. Yeah.
So you can actually see right there. You see it saying out. It is actually small pellets. It does not have an odor. It smells kind of earthy, maybe a little bit musty. It's safe to hold. You saw me just put it in my hand. It's safe to be used around pets, around children. Again, it is very environmentally friendly. I myself am not a professional gardener, but I do like my flowers. One thing I like about this is if I use a little too much, it's not going to leave burn spots or damage my plants. If I happen to do it, right before rain, it's not going to cause, issues. Another thing, and this has not been tested or proven, but I will say that I have deer in my neighborhood and they really, really like to eat my hydrangeas. And this product has actually helped keep the deer away from my hydrangeas. So there have been many farmers and many gardeners that say it has helped with deer. Again, it's not proven, but I can say that on my hydrangeas, it has truly helped.
Well, you know what? You have me thinking, because I'm in East Nashville, and I live right in front of woods. So woods are behind my house, and my raised beds are actually right in front of the woods. And we have saw plenty of deer in our backyard. And I'm thinking about it now. I haven't seen any. And I used the Music City Gold. The only other thing that I put in my raised bed was blood meal. So that's all that's been back there. And
Right.
normally we would have seen some by now. So now I think the theory may become law. Who knows?
Well, and there's been a lot of tests. I mean, clearly this is sampled. I mean, every single truckload that goes out, every, that we're producing is tested.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that it does not have any, pathogens in it. It's very highly regulated. So there's a lot of tests that have been done on it, but that is one test that has not been done. And so we can't state for a fact. I can say, and using it personally, it does work.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yes, it is Music City Gold. You can actually purchase it at the Davidson County Co-op. You can also reach out to our distributor, which is Tycoa LLC, or even Metro Water Services. If you're interested in learning more, we do have a website. But it is definitely something that is, worth looking into. And it's something that, like you said, it comes from us. I often like to say that at Metro Water Services, we don't, make the waste. It is actually humans. We ourselves are the ones making it. At Metro Water Services, we just process it. And our goal in this process is to take that, take the reclaimed water and send it back to the environment where it came from, take those reclaimed nutrients and put them back into the soil where they came from. So we're wanting to return everything to its rightful place. And I think we're able to do this. Having a nutrient-rich, slow-release fertilizer that is being used rather than sent to a landfill is a win-win.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a completely natural process. And that's what's cool about it, trying to keep grease and everything out of the system that we all of us use, on a common basis. So it's so cool. I appreciate you all's efforts. And like I said, if you guys are able to go and tour the plants when all of this is said and done, definitely do it. Because it's one thing to hear her describe some of the things you encounter at the plants, but to actually witness it, take in the sounds and the smells. Like White Creek smells worse to me than the biosolids, because at some point, like she said, the odor goes away if you even detect one to begin with. They have so many like top grade equipment there that they're using. So my biggest difference that I had annotated about, I'll go through the county hospital road, the pumps and watching the backwash and the running faucets. And then I did get to witness the lab equipment and some of those microbes that you were talking about, some of those beneficial uh, insects. So it's like bugs going and cleaning things, and then the outfall water, and then that aeration tank. And then the 3 different tanks with the flush and draining and all of that. It was so cool to witness, really. And then seeing what it is that we're contributing to when it comes to polluting water. Right off the bat, when you start the tour, you witnessed that, and heard talking about the water passing, and you can compare and contrast how clearer it gets as you progress throughout the tour. And so that's cool. I would suggest you guys, if you want to start somewhere, start with the county hospital road, because you get to see directly how you're affecting the water and what all goes into cleaning it. Now, with the biosolids plant, I, for one, appreciate that one. I think the most out of the 2 that I've toured, because I am a gardener.
Right.
For one, it ends with me getting a product that I get to test out. So that's always a bonus. And then to have used it thus far and it being phenomenal and living up to the hype is really, really cool. And the shaker system is so exciting. They actually let me go up there and see it, and I got to see the whooshing from the hydraulic pipes and the dryers. And we got to talk a little bit of chemistry, because I minored in chemistry. And so when they started talking, I didn't get lost in conversation. I was like, this is so cool to see practical applications of things, and seeing how heat affects sterilization. And that's something you're always told in lab, is 2 things that'll kill bacteria and virus and that type of thing. And it's alcohol and heat, and seeing how that plays a role in water and sterilization is just phenomenal. And to know that, it's a lot going into that process. And so when people see rate changes and don't understand, the top notch technology behind it, I think it's critical that you just take the initiative of going and witnessing it for yourself, because I would want to see where my dollar is going too, so
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that's why we are so appreciative to, you and True Talks. I mean, being able to share this, it's something that very few people think about. When we get up in the morning and we turn our faucet on and water comes out, or we flush the toilet and everything goes away, very few people think about, where did that come from, or where did that go, and what happens to it when it leaves my house. And it doesn't just disappear, and it's not magic. And we have people, like I said, that are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even during the quarantine, we've had to be extremely, careful, because our employees don't have the option of working from home or, being out sick. I mean, this is something that's very vital to the city and very important to our city, especially during times of, potential illness and, that need. So we've been very protective, which is why we're not able to give tours of our operators, because they are essential to our community and they're working for you 24 hours a day, snow days, holidays, and every step along the way is extremely important. There's not room for error. And like you said, all of the sampling and the biology and chemistry that, goes behind it, any mistakes or any breakdown in equipment doesn't just affect one person, it affects our entire community. So, being very mindful of that, which is also why it's so important not to put those wipes in there, because that is one of our larger risks in the water reclamation facility, is damage to our equipment and shutting down that system and causing those issues. So we all have a role to play in this, and it affects us all individually. So I think it's great that people maybe will start thinking a little bit more when they put something down the drain or they flush something, of how they are affecting their neighborhood and their community.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you for taking out the time to talk with me. Again, guys, it's a new series that I'm starting. This is the second part. So we will come back every month and release another part with you and walk you through how Nashville water is safe to drink and why we're standing firm in that. So how can they reach you? I know you all have some social media feeds out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go to our website, www.nashville.gov/water. If you go to the community education page, you're going to find all kinds of resources, virtual tours, information about the treatment process, both water and water reclamation. We actually have some printable PDFs of the water reclamation or water treatment process that were done for public restrooms, but they're a lot of fun and great to even put in your restroom at home, that explains the entire process of how we treat it in a very fun, graphical way. So we encourage you to spend some time on our website, explore, do the virtual tours. My contact information is on there as well. It's sonia.allman@nashville.gov. So reach out to us, let us know what questions you have, follow us on social media, and keep watching Tree Talks. We'll have more information for you later.
Absolutely. You already know, guys. And like I always tell you, follow me at Urban Thread 615 everywhere, and be blessed in every day that God gives you. Your life is full of purpose. Until next time, deuces.